Damn, you actually came back after the last video. Actually, this could be the first video you're seeing. Anyway, so we are talking about Perl variables, and in the last video, which you can click on here to see, we talked about scalar variables. That's where you just have one element or one string, and you're using a dollar sign to assign it. Today, we're talking about taking it to the next level, stepping up a notch. We're talking about what? What are we talking about today? We're talking about arrays today. So that's where you can have groups of things. All right, so array, 2 R's, fat fingers. All right, so let's get back into our script that we were working on in the last video. What is all this nonsense? All right, here we go. So here's the script. We were just doing regular assignment, scalar variable. So we have the placeholder, we put child in there, and we did all kinds of nice fun stuff. Now, how do we do a group of things? Instead of just one item, we want to put a group of numbers, letters, whatever it is. So the way you do that is with an array, and arrays are done with an @ symbol instead of the dollar sign. But it's a similar format to what you did with the scalar variables. So you're going to do @ symbol and then variable name. So we can say whatever. Let's do something else. Let's call it package. Package, because we're going to do a bunch of things, right? Instead of just one thing. So package equals, and then we say stuff. There you go. And we can go down here. Nope. We have to do semicolon first, right? We can go down here and we can say print stuff. So how do we call the variable? Do we just say @ package? And then what's going to be the result of that? Let's see what happens. Actually, we don't really need, I think we could get away with no semicolon for the last line, but let's do it anyway. All right, so let's run the script, run the script, run the script. All this mumbo jumbo, man. Clean up your history. All right, so there we have stuff. All right, so that worked technically, but it's kind of silly because the whole point of an array is to have multiple things in there, not just one thing. We want to have more things than just stuff. We want to have stuff and more stuff. So let's add more stuff to this. So look at the format, pay attention to the syntax, quotes, comma, quotes again, and then we have more stuffs. Haha, making up words. It's all good, man. This is my video. I can make up words if I want to. And more stuffs. Yeah. All right. Rock and roll. That's what it looks like. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. Horrible. What did we do wrong? Well, first of all, if you're paying attention, not letting me trick you and distract you, you would realize a couple of things that are going on here. Now, one thing that I do want to do here with this is we want to add a new line. So where do we add the new line? You might say everything is going to be on one line, so that a new line should be after everything is printed. So let's do it here, right? So let's go ahead and \n for new line, quote, and go to the beginning quote. And before we do anything else, let's see the result of that. Now what we're trying to do is avoid this stuff, jumble it up with our prompt. That sucks. All right, look at that. But where's the rest of our stuffs, man? We put stuff and more stuffs, and we only got one thing. So what did we do wrong here? Can you tell me what's wrong here? Take a look at that for a second, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. And we're back. So some of you that do sed and awk and other scripting languages, you probably figured this out already. Now, the way that you do an array many times are going to involve a little tweak in the syntax. What might that be? Let's think about this for a second. So we have this group of things that we want to assign to our placeholder or variable called package, right? So, generally speaking, when you receive a package in the mail, do they just kind of like randomly throw the things at your door, or is everything kind of in one thing that we refer to as a package? It's one single unit that holds separate things inside of it, right? So this is just kind of like all your wires and your manual just kind of thrown on the floor type of thing. That's probably why it's all in red like that. But we want to kind of package this up, put it in a box, man. So what we want to do is add that. See that? So now we're talking. Now we got something going. Or do we? Let's go ahead and get out of here and let's run this and see what happens. What do you know? Stuff, more stuffs, and more stuffs. So when you're doing an array, the way that you declare your array is you have to package everything into parentheses like that. So you're going to take everything and group it up like that, all nice and neat. And that's the way it works. So right now, before we move any more forward, take a look at the comparison between when we did an assignment of a scalar variable. Remember, we said scalar variables are where you just have one item. So we have the assignment right here. $sign variable, $sign whatever is the variable name, and child is the value. We're putting child into whatever. It's nice and clean and super simple. But now with the array, we're using an @ instead of a $sign. We just give it a name, just like we would give the variable a name here, of course. That's the whole point, a placeholder. Here's our placeholder called package. Now we need to insert things into the placeholder. And here are the things. Notice the syntax. Everything is in parentheses. Every separate item is in parentheses. You need to have that. If you didn't have that, then how do you know where the separation is between stuff and more stuffs and things like that? What if you wanted to have space in there? Like you have stuff and then a space, so you can put them in nice little neat little little kind of containers where you can separate each item like that. Now, before we move any more forward here, let's see what happens if we actually don't have the parentheses. So I'm gonna hit X and VIM to delete. X marks the spot. X marks the spot. X marks the spot. Yeah! All right. Now notice the color change. Everything is in white except for the and is in yellow. Notice that the print word is also in yellow. Why would that be? Clue there for you guys. And gals. Let's see what happens. You forgot to load stuffs. I love the way Unix talks to you. Can't locate the object method more via package stuffs. Perhaps you forgot to load stuffs. Perhaps I forgot to load stuffs. Is that a professional way to talk to me, terminal? So, as you can see, this does not work as is. But before you jump to conclusions and get too excited, let's see what happens when we remove this space. Because you know, when you have a space, that can be interpreted as a separation. So instead of more stuffs, it's more and stuffs. So maybe that's a problem right here. What is it? How does this shell interpret this? Or the Perl interpreter, rather. How does it interpret that? So let's delete that. And let's delete the spaces here as well. A key thing, one of the key things when you're using quotes is what happens with spaces. Sometimes the space can be a problem. Put things in quotes. Space is no longer a problem because it's very clear exactly what you're containing. I want these characters and I want this space. That's my item. Without that declaration, is the space like part of your thing or not part of your thing? Shell doesn't know. All right, so let's run this and see what happens. Look at that! It works! So, as you can see, the problem is not in that we need the quotes or anything, but it's that we need them definitely if we have spaces. Now, generally speaking, I would do everything in quotes. That's a standard syntax, standard format. So regardless of spaces or no spaces, I would put the quotes there. I just wanted to show you this as kind of a educational thing. I want you to understand this process as much as possible. I don't want you to just kind of glance over the details and kind of miss out on this the essence of what's going on here and how this whole thing works, right? So that knowledge is very important, and when you're trying to figure out your scripts and things like that, and you remember you were watching Carlisle Speaks Wall Street, and you saw how you could actually do your array without your quotes, and you remember how the problem was in having spaces in your little items there. So in another scenario, something may come up where you'll remember this and you'll say, wait a minute, I got to put that in quotes. I remember I was watching that awesome video from that awesome guy who I subscribed and I liked the video and I shared it and everything. Yeah, I'm liking you. All right, so that is how you do an array in Perl. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. Let's just cover two more things. Stay with me. So we're going to do two more things here. So let's attempt to do a concatenation. Can we do concatenation between an array and a scalar variable? That's an interesting concept, but there's one way to find out. So let's follow the logic of how we did it before. So we see up here, we did a concatenation of two variables. But this time, let's see what happens when we try to do an array package. And we're going to use the same format as above. We're going to put package, and we're going to do the variable above. Let's use combine, the most complex of the variables above. And that should work, shouldn't it? Semicolon. Looks good to me. How does it look to you? So, one thing to keep in mind is that I hope you're paying attention here, but remember, the way we concatenate is not like this. What are we doing wrong here? What I'm doing is I'm printing. We don't want to print. We want to concatenate. So in order to do that, we got to do that. So let's get rid of this print. Print is what comes next. But first is concatenation. So let's say that, first of all, we need to create a new variable. Let's call it can you cat it? There you go. Can you cat it? Equals. So we're making that declaration. We're saying can you cat it equals, and we're concatenating an array with a scalar variable. At least we think we are. But will this work? Will it work? Will it blend? Let's find out. Stuff, more stuffs, and more stuffs. Interesting. Well. Not quite the desired effect that we wanted to have happen. Why is that? If you're paying attention, you will realize that there's something missing. All we did is we did the concatenation, but how can we see the result of the concatenation if we don't print it out? So let's go ahead and copy this because we're lazy, and we're going to go ahead and paste it here. And we're going to, instead of pasting package, we're going to paste can you cat it? So let's go ahead and paste that here. There you have it, and we are done. Let's go and save it and see if this runs or not. There you have it. Child is rude, stuffs, more stuffs, and more stuffs. And 3 child is rude. So you see what happens. We got 3 and then child is rude. Why would that happen? 3 would be coming from where? Where is the 3 coming from? Look at this again. So 3 child is rude. Okay? 3 child is rude. Where is the number 3 coming from? Child is rude, we know where that's coming from. That was from up here, right? That was up from before. But where is the 3 coming from? So we did a combination of package. Package is the array of all these things. Now notice in the package there were 3 items in the package, right? So what happens, and I know we're going to run out of time in a second, what happens if we add another item, quotes, blah, 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 and that, let's back out of here. I'm going to do a part 2 for this video. If this was helpful for you, definitely subscribe, like, and comment below. For child is rude. So the number went up. So you see what happened there? I'll explain more about that in the next video. Subscribe, comment below, and click on the link to see the next video, part 2.